Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, whatever you want to call it. If it's Tuesday night, if it's 7 o'clock, it must be the Idle Zone Syndicate. And here we are in windy Kansas and northeast Oklahoma.
It's not that windy here yet.
Good. We have plenty.
Yeah, yet is the key word there.
Yeah, it's coming. We had pretty good rain this morning, though.
That's a wonderful thing. We didn't have much rain. We had about 4 inches of thunder and lightning last night, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still raining on us right now.
Yeah, it's sprinkling here.
Cool.
Drove over the Spring River. It was full, thankful.
Very cool. What's shaking in the world?
Lots of fishing tournaments going on.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Tis the season, guys. Well, you'll have your coming out party here pretty quick. I'm assuming.
I hope so. Man, I got to get on a new mojo. Dude, I can't be having Bassmaster Live, bogarting my alien thing.
You gotta hit the hot new trend. You gotta find the next one.
I don't know. I just don't know. When they came back with the graphic with the little UFO flying across the screen, that was pretty awesome.
That was hilarious.
I love that. Was
I didn't see it. Was that on Sunday?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it Sunday.
Well, John, you were fishing Big Hill Saturday, correct?
Fishing. Yes.
Fishing, not
That
catching.
is the key. That is the key word. Fishing. We went. Yes, we had ABA. Actually, third tournament of the season, but first one of the year. And I didn't get up to pre-fish or anything. I got there and nobody. We were waiting on a co-angler that had texted Brian that he was coming, that he was on his way. And at 7 o'clock, which is when we're supposed to be starting, he was in Neodesha.
Whoops.
But I noticed that nobody was in any hurry to get on the water, including Mr. Failer and, Jim Clay, all the normal guys that are, got a chance to do well on that lake. Nobody was in a hurry to get in the water. And we were standing around they were talking, there was a few of them that did get on the water Friday, and we're talking about how there was still ice in the coves, and the water temperature was 39 to 42.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to stick with my original plan. I'll put in and see what the water temperature is today. And if it's, around 45 or whatever, maybe I'll throw the old A-rig around, jerk bait. I put in the water and it was like 42 degrees. So I thought, well, I'll just run up to the bridge and see what the water temperature is up there. And if it's not any warmer, I was going to head back out to the main lake and just hit points and, do the main lake thing. I got up to the bridge and it was like 46 degrees. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on up. So I go on up. I go to the pond. I go in the pond and it's 49 degrees.
Okay.
So I spent 3 hours in the freaking pond thinking it's the warmest water on the lake. And I had like some little fish, probably crappie, fall on my A rig, maybe white bass or something, a few times, and I couldn't get nothing going. So I went back out. I thought, well, I'll go out to the main lake. And so I headed out, and I stopped a little bit before the bridge, before the main lake, to see what the water temperature is. And I threw out a red crankbait and I caught a 10-incher. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's afternoon. It's warmed up a little bit. So I went to the bridge. I went around it 7 times and went, you know, went around the bridge 7 times, and then nothing. So I ran out to the main lake, and then my batteries died, just deader than a doornail, just dropped off. Like, I have no idea what happened there. So I actually got off the water at like 2:30, headed home, loaded up, headed home. And then I had texted Terry and asked him, what it took to win. Brian Failer won with 1 fish for 2.5 pounds.
Oh, gee.
I noticed
Oh,
Jim
my.
when I went back to the ramp. You gotta know, if you know Jim Clay. I mean, it's cold, it's miserable, fish aren't biting. I'm headed back to the ramp, and I see Jim at Timber Hill. So I'm like, okay, he's got fish because he's still here. And sure enough, Jim got second with 1 fish that weighed 0.96. And that was it. That was the only fish weighed in.
Oh, my.
So I didn't feel so bad after I heard that, but I kind of do, because I just can't believe I couldn't catch one over 2.5 pounds somewhere.
Well, beneficial to you, Mr. Stewart. Tonight, we've got somebody that's more of a, should I say, big bass specialist. Would you guys like for me to bring him in?
Is he ready to be brought in?
I think he's ready.
You think he's ready?
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
So tonight, like I said, we've got a big bass specialist. He's a stone cold killer when it comes to fishing in Florida, plain and simple. He's also a 2022 Red Crest champion on Grand Lake. He's a 2025 Stage 2 winner on the Harris Chain. He's a 12-time Classic qualifier. When he was at Bassmaster, he finished 106 times in the money. That's more times than we've been fishing in 2 years combined, I think, maybe.
Yeah, all of us put together.
All 4 of us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
From Lakeland, Florida, please welcome Big Fish, Bobby Lane.
Hello, gentlemen. How are
Hey,
you?
Bobby.
What's up?
The champ.
Another day up here in, I don't know where we're at. We're at Lake Murray. I don't know the town or whatnot, but we're in Lake Murray, South Carolina this week for the Bass Pro Tour. And then next week we'll be on Lake Hartwell for the Tackle Warehouse Invitational. And it's not Florida up here, I can tell you that. It is chilly, had ice on the boat yesterday. A little different story for sure.
Man, what's the weather supposed to be like for the event?
Well,
Supposed to get better?
it's blowing about 30 right now. Tomorrow it's supposed to rain and blow like 30 possible. That big front system is actually going to blow through here tomorrow mid-morning, and then first day of the tournament I think it's like 35, high 57. Second day and no wind, so you get a little of everything when you're here. But it's typical this time of the year. Those late fronts blow through after it gets warm for a while, and they come pretty ferocious. So all you can do is try to make the best decisions.
Yeah. The whole tournament world is kind of missing with the weather this spring, I think. That we've had a couple opens that haven't even fished a full season. I think it was pretty nice at Kissimmee the whole time. But Murray's had a couple tournaments that were bad. They're going to be on Kentucky Lake as well this weekend, and it's not going to be great. And the weather just is not cooperating.
That's what it seems like. Every time the weekdays are beautiful, and then a tournament comes to fruition, right? And then all of a sudden it's cancel a day or two and try to get what you can in. And that's tough for these tournament organizations, trying to schedule early in the year, catch these big pre-spawn fish and try to hit them right. And you cannot predict Mother Nature. And let's face it, I didn't have it wasn't lollipops and candy canes down on the Lake Apopka there either that final day. I battled some tough wind before, but that was absolutely brutal. I was actually out of spots to fish, out of the wind. Things weren't going in my direction. I was 20 pounds back, and I said, well, I got to go and give it at least a try to see if I can even get bit there, because I was honestly out of everything I had. And got a couple of bites decent, and then I knew that wind was going to shift that afternoon, and that front blew through, and it got slick. That was just awesome. That was 2 weeks ago, and I feel like it was yesterday. I haven't been to Apopka since. My son went the day after I won that event, and he caught the fire out of them and said there was about 20 boats over there, but he said he caught 20 or 30 there also. So it's you're right. You just got to deal with the weather and try to make the best decisions. If it blows out of the east, then you want to fish on the west. If it blows out of the west, you want to fish on the east. And these fish are trying to spawn all over the country for the mid-south and down, and trying to put it all together is a challenge right now. Unless you're down in Florida, it's really been a lot nicer. Days in the 80s and nights in the 60s, and everywhere else seems to be 50s and 20s, or even snow and ice.
Yeah. I mean, the weather, do you think the weather, we've had, like I mentioned, we've had several cancellation days already this year, and it kind of didn't used to be that way. Like, I kind of think that as long as it's not like dangerous, I think it kind of um, takes away the like the veterans that know how to handle weather. It kind of takes that away from them a little bit. Sometimes I feel that way. Do you feel that way once in a while?
I grew up fishing BFLs and opens and ever starts back in the day, and then the elites, the Tackle Warehouse, the Bass Pro Tour now, and I'm running the 21XE Phoenix with a Yamaha. I haven't been on a pond that boat can't handle, and yeah, it seems like anymore, if the wind blows, here's the cool thing about the Bass Pro Tour is we have a trailering policy. So no matter what the weather's doing, especially like that day on Apopka 2 weeks ago, we were able to trailer there, and you had to make the best decisions. A couple of guys decided not to go. A couple other ones just fished other lakes. But yeah, we used to fish wind, hail, rain, lightning, storm. It didn't matter. It was shotgun start and away you went. And over the years, maybe things have just caught up with us, though. You know, the way the economy and things have kind of taken by storm. You know, cell phones and social media. I think maybe it's in their best interest not to send them on bad days, but definitely back before all this started, I don't think it mattered which way the wind was blowing or which way the rain was coming. It was, if you were boat 3, you better be the first to go. And um, I think it hurts a little bit, but all in all, I think it's definitely a lot more about safety now, and that's why these organizations are definitely postponing a day or trying to push one. I just wish when they would postpone that they give everybody kind of what they signed up for, right? I mean, entry fees are steeper than ever, and if you sign up for a 3-day tournament, you know, let's at least give them 2 days, or at least get, if it's a 4-day tournament, at least get 3 days in. So yeah, dude, I definitely get your point, but on the other side of things, I definitely see where the organizations are coming from as far as
I mean,
safety and, you know, just the way people handle things now.
yeah, I mean, I've been there. I mean, you know that I've been there, and you know,
Yeah, you have.
you've got a directive from above or from the organization to, you know, how to handle that stuff, but ultimately it's still a judgment call, and you gotta make that call. I do think that it's become a little easier to make that call. Like I used to, you know, I don't think they fret over it as much as I did when it was.
Right.
When I say they, it's people I know personally that I know what's in their mind, and I've talked to them after tournaments, and I do think it has become a little easier for them to make that call because it's happened so often. Where back in the day, you know, back
Right.
5, 6 years ago, you know, it was no sleep the night before because you're thinking about it all night long, and then you get up that morning, and I never made a call, and I don't know if it's still a directive at Bass that we don't make a call until that morning because it could change. It could come through quicker overnight than they were thinking that it was going to, and it could be over, you know. So you want to wait till that morning, but I'm kind of with you. I don't understand why they don't extend an open a day. You know, they've the
Well, let's face it, when those fronts push through, you are probably fishing the absolute best the lake is going to fish. Also, I know we're all fishermen on this channel now, and you guys know as well as I do. You can take a spinner bait with 2 blades and cut one off and catch a bass almost every other cast somewhere. When that front pushes through, the barometer goes up and those fish have to feed. And it seems like, you know, sometimes they cancel those days when the fishing would be the best. So, you know, like you're saying, you're right. I would like to see some of them push through, but I think that things have just progressed, and I don't know if it's going to go back there. I mean, we've had some incidents in the past, all of us, that have put people in bad spots, and we just don't want to go there again. And it's
yep.
easier to cancel than it is to. Hey, I run that scholarship program down at Camp Mac, the Bobby Lane Cup. We send out almost 400 kids every year, and we had a fog delay last year. It cost us almost 2 hours, and we were weighing in at 1:30. You know, so we got the kids out, and it was still foggy. But there's those decisions you make, and man, you know, you have to trust your instinct on those things. And
Mhm.
I think you're right. Things are definitely different now than they were back then, and there's a lot more eyeballs on everything than there used to be.
And I
Yeah.
think the kids. I mean, you know, you brought it up. The high school and the college programs the way they are now. You know, the upper leagues have to set a good example for, for those trails, for those tournaments that are happening, and you don't, I think it helps those directors that are running those events when they see, the opens or the elites or the BPT or whatever canceling a day or postponing a day, that they're like, it's okay to do that. It's for safety. And I, I've always said, you're not going to please everybody, but I would never apologize for keeping a guy safe.
Right.
If it's my judgment is we need to do this to keep him safe. I would never apologize for that. I mean, it is what it is.
And you hit it, with the high school and the college now. I mean, they're fishing 200, 300 boats in some of these tournaments, and the colleges too. And there's a lot more families involved. I mean, I didn't have the high school, I didn't have the college when I was growing up, and I know you guys didn't either. So, yeah, I think in a nutshell, you're right. We're setting examples for them, and I watched the postpone that fog delay just recently on Okeechobee, and they did the drone flyover, and where they were sitting at Okatani there, or Scott Driver, it looked crystal clear. But when you take the drone and you go out towards the lake and in the canal, you see how thick the fog really is, and you wondered, like, come on, let them go, and guys that are trying to push for position or whatnot. It's the same playing field for everybody, but you gotta look past of what's in front of you and make sure that you're making the right decision, because you got a lot of people weighing on you at that given moment when you call boat one, for sure.
And the tournament director has to think about that, because if he says go,
It means go.
they're going. Everybody's going. Everybody's going.
When you say go, you don't go back on go. It ain't like you said, let the first 10 go and say, oh, wait a minute, we made a mistake. When you say go, you're right, man.
Right,
you have to commit to that go.
You got to go, and the anglers are gonna go. Period. Yep. They're gonna go because they're competitive. They're not gonna, maybe once in my life I experienced somebody that said, I'm not going in this. Y'all can go.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. Everybody's going to go. So it's on the director, but let's change gears a little bit. You brought it up. Let's talk about your Camp Mac event that you have every year, and what that's for, and what it's like, and how many kids you get, and what you do at that event.
Yeah, well, thanks for giving me that opportunity. We started the Bobby Lane Cup 13 years ago with 18 kids, and we were able to give away Yamaha hats and wristbands. We'll fast forward to this year. That was our first year. We'll fast forward to now, 13 years into it. We were able to give away $72,000 in scholarships last year. We hosted 400 kids. Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you. And we were able to pay we charge a $30 entry fee, and we were able to pay out almost $12,000 or something like that. So a lot of sponsors, a lot of fun, a lot of giving back. Try to give these kids a tournament. I used to go to the Tom Mann Jr. I'm sure you guys remember him up in near Eufaula, Alabama. He had a kids camp. Me, my brothers, and my sister, we all used to go to that. And it was, I don't remember what the cost was. He's passed away since, but that was the way I grew up. And we had a BB gun shooting contest, a fishing contest off the bank. If you caught one, they would four-wheel your bass over to the stage. It was just awesome. And my brother runs a big fish camp in Lake Gunnersville, and I decided to start the Bobby Lane Cup up down in Florida. And it's a way for us to give back. It's a way for us to get the communities involved, and to keep the the up and coming strong, and show them that there's good ways to do things. We have, what I love about the Cup is we have kids that graduate the Cup, and then they go off to college, and then they come back and be a boat captain for their brothers or for their friends.
Oh,
so
cool.
we have Yeah, man. We have juniors, we have junior high school, we have high school, we have college kids. We have the sponsors come down. Starbright, Startron's a huge supporter of that event, along with a lot of other great big sponsors. But they do a lot of all the food is free. Chick-fil-A is a huge sponsor. They bring the breakfast out to the kids. We got Wawa coming in this year. Last year we had Wawa, and they're like, wow, we weren't prepared for that. So they're going to have a big booth there for coffee and all the snacks. So it's been an awesome event. What I love about it is you don't get turned down when you start something like this. It seems like the community keeps supporting, and it gives them a drive. We get these awesome letters from all the scholars. We were, like I said, last year I think we had 13 or 18. 2 years ago, 13 or 18 scholarships. This year we had 58 kids sign up for the program. So we hit record numbers. And I told the staff, which is made up of about 18 or 20 people, that, hey, I love each and every one of you guys, but if we're going to continue to pay out this kind of money, we got to raise some sponsors, because if the kids are coming, then our goal is to always make sure they're the ones taken care of first. So every year we've gone up in our sponsorship. We've never gone backwards, and we've gone down on our entry fee, and we're trying to hold that, to the best and utmost, and show these kids there's good ways to do things, and good, wonderful people out there. And this fishing stuff is awesome, whether you want to pursue it in like what I'm doing as a professional, or you want to get involved in the industry, working for one of these organizations or one of these sponsors. There's just so much good that comes out of all of this.
That's outstanding.
Love it.
Yeah. Do you get any? Is it all Florida teams, or do you get any out of state teams come down?
Great question. Yes, actually, we represented 12 states 2 years ago. We had a team from Iowa, one from California. This year we had eight states that were represented: South Carolina, Georgia. We had Louisiana, Texas, and a few more out a little bit more west. So yes, we've definitely expanded. They're all coming to get that free scholarship. You got to be present. You got to be a part of the event to get the scholarship. And, that's the way we got to come here to fish it.
I have no idea what that QR code is.
I promise you I didn't do it.
I think it's your.
It's
I think
not
it's
the
your.
Bobby Lane Cup QR
I believe it
code.
is.
I promise.
Yes, it is.
I think it's your. I think it's your website. Our producer made a QR code to scan it and go to your website. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe that is the Bobby Lane Cup. I'm sorry. I
It
can't
takes
see
you,
it. It's just
takes you straight there, big guy. Takes you straight
Yeah.
there.
What's it? What's the website if somebody didn't have a chance to scan that?
Yep, BobbyLaneCup.com. It's real easy. Just click on it. It'll take you right to the page. If you want to be a sponsor, if you want to get signed up, we're expecting a huge year this year, as always. And first week in December, every single year. And you can sign up on the website. You can become a sponsor on the website, or you can reach out to us on our Facebook and Instagram page, and we can send sponsor forms, tax exempt forms, whatever anyone needs.
That's
Have
awesome.
you pressed the Bass Nation down there, the Florida Bass Nation down there, to do anything for you, Bobby?
Yeah, we've asked them before, and like I said, Major League's done stuff before. They've done sunglasses. The Florida Bass Nation has chipped in before. Everybody that we know, we reach out to, and sometimes some people just can't that year support, and then the next year they're like, I'll be in next year. So trust me, we've got over 13 years, all of my contacts and everybody else that's been doing this, they reach out. We have a lot of cash donations that actually just come in to the cup. They walk up and say, hey, how do I become a sponsor? I want to do this. And I mean, they sign up right there at the event. So It's wonderful. We give out a goodie bag like these kids would leave the Bassmaster Classic or the Red Crest. It's really cool, and a lot of them it's their first or only tournament they will ever fish. So we welcome any and all kids to be a part of it. We recommend having a boat captain, which we know can be challenging for these kids now. But if you do sign up and don't have a boat captain, we will appoint you one. And that's always a challenge for us. But we have a great group of people that we reach out to every year to fulfill that boat captain list.
About how many boat captains do you have to come up with every year? Average.
Last year I think was 22. I think this year was 28, and I'm assuming, or last year was 28. This year I'm figuring I'm going to have between 25 and 30, and we do pay the boat captains. They do get part of the Chick-fil-A breakfast, and they do get a really nice Starbright Startron free washing bucket, the whole kit and caboodle from Starbright Startron. So there is some definitely incentives for boat captains, and we do have early weigh-ins. It's not like we're trying to keep you out there till 3 o'clock. And knock on wood, the first week in December is usually some kind of decent weather for sure down there at Camp Mac.
I'm sure that it's way better than here, Kyle. So we could we might need to be boat captain, this year.
I'm not going to say that I wouldn't take some Chick-fil-A and some Startron, but I would maybe try to court you for some Berkeley power bait stuff. You got any of that?
We do. Berkeley sends a wonderful amount. You know what they did this year? Every kid got a coal shad this year, and they got something Berkeley power bait max in. I can't remember what it was, but all the winners get Abu Garcia rods and reels and Costa sunglasses and a huge gift card. They get ear pods, iPhone. I mean, we really stack them up with what they get. But yeah, boat captains, we take care of you guys the best we can, and a lot of them donate their money back, but they do check in on the Chick-fil-A for sure, and the Starbright Startron bucket. And let's face it, you're only giving back for one day, and it is on a Saturday, so a lot of them are home by Sunday. And we've hit some home runs with this thing for sure, and we don't plan on changing much, man. We love Camp Mac, and we love our area that we're in down there.
Eric Stong needs to get interested in that deal, guys.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Sign them all up. We'll take them.
I mean,
Just message the Bobby Lane Cup, and
thinking road
Tracy
trip.
or somebody will pick up on it and send us the boat captains via email, and we'll put it in our boat captain list if you guys want to get involved in all, or if you just want to come down and visit, man. Camp Mac, first week in December. Come down, say hi, and have a good time. Free food and a bunch of great people. That's what it is.
Maybe we take a field trip, guys.
I'm thinking road trip podcast.
Yeah.
Live on location podcast.
What's the,
December in Florida. I mean, why not? And this is a personal invite, so don't say I didn't tell you.
What's the going deal in December down there, Bobby?
Fishing wise,
what do you got to have in your tackle box to get the job done in December?
you definitely need a flipping stick. If you can find some mats that got any water on them, that time of the year is the deal. You need, some kind of moving bait, or whether it be a trap or, a bladed jig or something. That's always a key. And then you cannot rule out the power bait max scent general. You got to have it tied on an 1/8 ounce or a 3/16 ounce. If it warms up, they'll start showing up on those pads early. And we were faced with like 40-degree weather this year when we launched the kids, and there was a lot of them that came in with one fish or no fish. I want to say 19 or 20 pounds won the high school, and 11 or 12 pounds ended up winning the junior division. It's tough. Crankbaits are good that time of the year. Really depends on if we get hurricanes. We had Helene and we had Milton. They blew through and they gave us a lot of water. So the water was up. They were drawing it down. Moving water was still pretty good at that time. You just never know. I mean, I pack a full arsenal when I come here, and the scope, the forward facing sonar, active target 2 actually can be a player that time of the year. So you got to get out there and put your time in, and these kids do. They work hard at it, and unfortunately, we were blessed with some cold weather this year, and it was pretty windy and chilly. But every one of them got out there, and every one of them got back, and so proud to see them all at weigh-in.
Absolutely. What's the secret? You don't have to dive in too deep, but what's the deal with max scent versus normal power bait? Like, I did some research looking back on some of your successes, and there is literally one common denominator when in a couple of your Florida wins, and that's a Berkeley max scent general.
I'm gonna give you a little story that I'm staying with Justin Lucas. Hey Lucas.
Bring him over here.
Yeah, well, he's washing his hand. Lucas, when you win that Bass Pro Tour, what lake was up in Michigan? Sturgeon Bay. So we were in Sturgeon Bay, and I was throwing the Max Scent General, the 4-inch, and it got really, really slick calm. And Justin Lucas, we're rooming him, and my brother. We were all staying together, and it got really calm that day, and I needed a few fish to get into the knockout round. Things were different compared to this year. It was Group A, Group B, day on, day off, and all the guys were struggling around me, and I'm kind of getting on the struggle bus myself. And I just went up shallower, like in 6-7 foot on Sturgeon Bay. And I remember seeing 2 smallmouth swimming around, and they were just kind of swimming back and forth in front of the boat, to the right, to the left. And I'm like, what in the world? And it was so calm that I didn't even need to drop my power poles. And I remember taking a brand new black 4-inch Max Scent General out of the pack on a drop shot, wacky, and I flipped it out there in front of them. And one of them kind of spun around like it was on a bed, but we're there like late in the year, so there's no way they're spawning. And I watched this fish do a circle of about 6 feet. And then the circle got into about 2 feet. And the circle got into 1 feet. And out of nowhere, that smallmouth went and ate my 4-inch Max Scent General. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Set the hook. I caught it. It was like a 3.5 pounder. And as I was reeling that one in, the other one was kind of swimming around, doing its own deal. And I weighed that fish and I let it go. And I threw back towards the area where that other fish was. You got to remember, Sturgeon Bay is crystal clear. The second smallmouth swam in about a 6-foot circle, then a 3-foot circle, then a 2-foot circle. Guess what? You know what happened. That one grabbed it. It was like a 2.5 pounder. At that time, I was so convinced that what Max Scent, the scent actually disperses in the water. Power bait is wonderful. The colors are a little bit better in power bait. I mean, we all have to admit, but the Max Scent, we're really working hard to get our colors to perfection. But the scent itself, especially when you're dealt with cold conditions, are the Max Scent Hitworm, the Max Scent General, the 5-inch, the 6-inch, the Creature Hog, they're all phenomenal. They have their time and their place, but let me tell you, if you're struggling or you just need to catch fish, period, that Max Scent, after watching those smallmouth eat it, I know if I leave it down there long enough, something's going to swim over there and eat it. And I've actually been learning that largemouth think the same way as smallmouth. It's just not as clear where we fish down here. And if you let it soak in there, and if you watched anything about a popka, I would leave that 6-inch General in around those reed clumps, and I would hop it up real slow. And I swear, I think they could smell it, and then it would trigger them into biting.
You've got that much confidence in it. You're just sitting there thinking to yourself, it's a matter of just being a little bit more patient, and the bait's gonna do the work.
The bait's going to do the work. If you find the fish, then the bait will do the work. And I think John Cox and the rest of the pro staff for sure. I mean, I've watched John Cox haul them in right and left on that max scent, and it's pretty phenomenal the way that thing works. I mean, you need to be a believer in it. You need to get some in your arsenal, and throw it on Texas rig or wacky rig. They work both ways for sure.
I'm definitely a firm believer in Berkeley power bait. I mean, up here around Grand Lake, we throw a 10-inch worm a ton. You know, there's no doubt about that. And we throw the great big shaky head a lot. You know, the max in general, we've thrown them a little bit, but it just seems like every time you turn around, somebody's popping some big ones and winning some money on that dadgum thing. And I'm just kind of like, what's the common denominator? I don't know if it's just they're trying to push a product or if it's the real deal.
Well, my take on it is, my take on that, especially, I think you guys are going to come back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh. Anyways, when the water temps are cooler, it definitely makes a difference. When the water temp starts heating up a little bit, I like to go to like what you're talking about, the 10-inch power worm. But when the water temps are in that 68 to 75 range, bass in general don't like a lot of action if you're flipping. Okay, it might be different on a winding bait or, you know, maybe some kind of power blade spinner bait or whatnot. But when you're flipping and trying to pick off those fish that are shallow, bass definitely like a zero action bait when the water temps are cool, and that's what the Max Scent General gives you. Plus you have the scent at the same time. It's just a win-win, man. And I keep my colors really simple, guys. Black and blue, blue tip. I like solid black a lot, just because not a ton of people throw it. It's a killer on smallmouth, I promise you that. Green pumpkin candy, those ones are just phenomenal. But I know you guys, let's see, I got Lucas right here somewhere. Well, he might have gone to bed, but my brother, Chris, he wanted to say, he said he heard about you guys and done a show with you before.
Why, hello there. That's old John.
What's up?
John, how are you, buddy?
Good to see you.
Rough day on Murray. Wind blowing about 45.
45.
Mm.
Did you find any fish is the question.
Yeah, I can catch them pretty good until lines are in.
Well, maybe that'll change this time.
Well, I hope so. Oh, there's Lucas. He's sawing some logs. You guys want to say hi to him?
Who is it?
John Stewart and the crew.
Oh, what up?
What's up?
I think you're service.
You,
Yeah. So that was the crew, guys.
that's cool.
The whole house over there is saying there's
Yep.
no place like home because everywhere them guys lives all warmer than where they're at.
Yeah, true.
He went to
You guys got that same front coming through that we do, don't
Yeah, it's
you?
barreling
That
down.
big front coming through. It's gonna.
Yep, it just hit right now today. Yeah, it just hit today.
We're gonna get it first thing in the morning. Yep.
Yeah.
So
So last week we had on Marty and Marshall on the show.
Sweet.
And
I
so
expect them to be on live the first day of this tournament.
Yeah, maybe.
Hope so.
I would think so.
Him and Gagliardi. He's from up here.
Yep. Do you have any youngsters that have the inclination to do what you're doing? And where are they at with that?
Yeah, actually, Bobby Jr., he's 17. He'll be 18 July 3rd. He fishes the Florida Bass Nation. He fishes the Extremes and Zephyr Hills. He fishes a lot of the local tournaments. I know he has the passion and the drive for it for sure. where he wants to go with it. You know, that's his destination. Uh, my brother's son, Cal, he fishes the
Yep.
tackle warehouses and all the Toyota series. A lot of Bobby Jr.'s buddies, RJ Sanger, he just signed with Campbellsville University. That was I run the club there at Lakeland Christian and in Lakeland. And RJ was our very first college signing ever. He signed with Coach Miracle there at Campbell's University. So we have a ton of kids. His partner, Bryden Tyler and Easton Morrow, these guys just fish, man. Any chance they can get to get out on the water. They just fished that open there on Smith Lake. That Bass Open they have that one day they do on Sundays. Bobby
Yep.
Jr. and RJ were up there this weekend, and Bobby Jr. called me after yesterday and says, "Dad, I've never been so tired in my life." I said, "Well, you better get used to it. If you want to be a fisherman, you got to run hard, put them up, and then go."
Yeah. And they, I think that has a lot to do with how quickly the youngsters are
Yeah.
getting to the top, quickly. You see these because they've been fishing multi-day tournaments, since if they're doing it in high school, they've been doing it since they were 13, 14, 15 years old, fishing multi-day tournaments across the U.S. None of us had that. Like you said earlier, none of us had that. And so when they get to the opens or whatever they're fishing or the Toyota series or,
They're ready.
they're ready
They're ready.
already.
Like you said, you were talking, in the very beginning, John, about kind of these tournaments taking days off. Everything has fast forward, really. Just like our kids, man, they come out of the gate swinging. When can I fish a tournament? They're 16 years old wanting to get in the boat, and that's the way it is. And I didn't start till I was 28 or 29, 26 or 27, something like that. I know my brother was a late bloomer also, and nowadays I got kids almost my son's age out here on the professional level. So yeah, they're geared up and ready. But I think the way that we've all handled the situations, the high school, the juniors, the high school, the college fishing teams now, they're prepared when they get here, and then they know. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do this, but these kids are they're raised right, and they know um, what's right, what's wrong. Can I afford it? Can I not afford it? And to go to the pro level, you got to have good sponsorship and you got to have good money. So I don't. A lot of them are going to win a lot of money for sure. I mean, we're watching them now. Seems like if an older guy wins, it's how did he catch him? He didn't use the forward facing sonar, and every other win seems to come off that thing. So I'm still hopeful that there's a few more of those to come.
Yeah.
I
Been
think there.
doing
I
it
think.
right for a long time.
I
Yep.
think there are. I think there are. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So, did you use it at all in the last tournament?
So we're allowed to use it all of practice. And of course, I used it during practice. I'm looking for brush piles or shell bars or just trying to see if there's a giant group of fish anywhere. As the week went on, I found we only get a 2-day practice. The first day of practice, I was on Lake Harris and Lake Griffin. And the second day, I put in at Buzzard Beach, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. I ran to Dora, then I went to Carlton, Beauclair, and I wanted to check the canals at the end of Apopka. And I was right there at the lock, so I figured I might as well look into Apopka. And of course, once I got there, there was no forward-facing sonar. There's one thing I do on Apopka, and it's throw a moving bait and it's flip. And 90%, 99% of the time, it's definitely flipping. So no, I did never turn it on. I put my lockbox on and let them seal that baby up for that event, and worked out better than you can imagine.
So, how does that all work? So, does the official, the boat official, put the lockbox on? Like when when Justin decides he's going to use it, does the official takes it off that time, that hour or that period, and then puts
No,
it back on for the
actually,
other two?
no, we have to decide. We have to tell our official, I want to use my lockbox the first, I want to use my active target the first period. He will say, okay, when the first period is over, it's not like you get a quarter of it or any of it. If you use it in that period, then you lock it up the rest of the day. So we're pulling our sonar or our power cables from our boxes, and one or two, and we're putting them in a lockbox that cannot be unlocked until the official gives us the key back. So if I want to use it in period 3, then I will ask him for the lockbox, and I will lock my transducers up for period 1, period 2, and then he will say, Bobby, are you going to use forward facing sonar? And I said, yes, I'm going to use it in period 3. He will then give me the key. I will unlock my lockbox and hook up my cables in my 15-minute break, which, in between each period, we get a 15-minute break. I will hook my power up to my active target during that time, and then I will have it that full 2.5 hours. So that's the way that works. We have to tell them exactly when we're going to use it. And if we decide to use it during that period, we have to plug it in. And it's not like you can go lines in for 5 minutes and be like, man, I want to use my active target. Nope, you cannot. If you have to declare during the break when to use your active target. So it makes it really cool, makes it interesting, makes for good TV, and it makes it fair.
Yeah, no, I think we've talked about it on the show many times. All three leagues did their own kind of tweaking of the, whatever they thought was best. And I personally think that the MLF way is the best way at this moment. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Bassmaster goes to something similar, whether it be, using it one day, but not, like in the elites, they got 4 days. They could easily alternate days. You can use it today, you cannot use it tomorrow, use it the next day, not use it, whatever, if they declare. I think that'd be awesome for the
Yeah.
for the Elite Series.
Yeah,
And I
I
wouldn't be
think you're right. I think it's going to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just
I
gonna
think
say I
it's going to
wouldn't
come
be
to something like that. My battery is down to about 7%, so I'm going to stay on as long as I can. But you're right. I love that our format fits that shape, man. The way we can go 1 period on, 2 periods off. The tackle warehouse that I fish also, the invitationals, you can use it the first day, you got to put it off the second day, and then you can go back on the third day. I like that they're not banning it, and they're giving everybody the opportunity to use it as much as they can. I think they've made a lot of really good decisions with this thing recently. And yeah, I agree. I think BASS is probably looking into doing something for sure. Whether we ever know what that is or not, I would agree. I think they're probably going to do something also, because ours is working really well. You kind of
yeah.
let somebody test it, the water's right
Abs-
before you
yeah,
jump in, and I think that's the way it's going.
absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And those that don't want to use it at all, they've got the MPFL they can go to if they want, so
Yeah, which
I mean,
too, I
you
think a
know,
bunch of them are fishing Santee Cooper this.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Well, since you're running out of battery, I know that Danny has a question or two that he wants to ask you before you get away. So
Yeah, man, let's have
I'm
them.
gonna
Well,
turn it over to Danny.
I'm gonna forego one of my questions just for a special instance tonight, because one of our viewers is watching you poke at your brothers and Justin
Come on back.
from a hospital waiting room. He's waiting on his 5th grandbaby. He's sitting in the waiting room
Wow.
watching this right now. So I just wanted to shout out to Brian Newell and good luck, and let us know how that turns out. Now, obviously, it looks like you're staying at Airbnb or something.
Yep. Yep, we do.
Okay.
We try to make it nice and feasible for all. That's what we do. Me, my brother, comes in, Lurch actually comes in later. We try to make it where it's enjoyable for all and the least expensive as we can.
Did you say Lurch?
I think he said Lurch.
Lurch comes in tomorrow night.
You're breaking up a little
Lurch, and then there's Blake.
bit. Hey, Blake.
I'm yeah, Blake, and then we get Lurch. Lurch comes in and Holly called Chris.
Oh, I think we're going to
Oh,
lose
boy.
him. Oh, good,
Hey.
Bobby. We're going. I'm going to cut you loose because I think we're about to lose you.
Yeah.
He gone.
He go.
They go.
Hey,
Fun
that's all
stuff.
good.
Yeah, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think sometimes the guys that are watching, when we have a bigger name tour level person like that come on, I think so many of us get so tunnel vision on, I want them to give me the magic, the secret.
Yeah.
And it's fun for me to do this and talk about literally nothing to do with their fishing. We gave him 30 minutes to talk about his scholarship event and getting the kids outside and going, and that's what's fun for me about this show, is seeing other things other than them in the front of the boat.
Yeah. I mean, he gave us his deal. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but he's like black. He told us what his favorite was and what his favorite thing. It took 5 minutes, and you had to catch it. If you weren't paying attention, you missed it. But we try not to spend a whole lot of time on. There are some guys that are just, maybe something that we really want to learn. I.e.
Mhm.
the scoper. If we have a
Right.
scope guy that can give us a couple tips that'll help us out a little bit. But I mean, when you got a guy like Bobby Lane on, he's going to flip. So there's not a whole lot to it. He's flipping, and he told you what his favorite flipping bait was, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need to know.
You're going to open his rod locker, and there's one spinnerbait tied on, and there's probably 12 flipping bait,
Chatterbait, maybe.
maybe a chatterbait.
Yep.
Yeah.
You Central Kansas guys, you guys pronounce flipping wrong. Here in Southeast Kansas, we call it fripping.
Frippin'.
I think you need to go back to grammar school or English class or something.
Yeah,
Keep
what are
them
you
down
doing?
there?
You gotta do fripping. I think you're right, Danny. I completely agree with you on what you just said. To be honest with you, I didn't know anything about Bobby's extracurriculars that he did off tour.
No.
And I'm in favor of trying to find out about all of them. I enjoy it.
Yeah, Chris Lane has one on Gunnersville. That's a kid's deal, and it's when he was with Bassmaster, we would if he did it on a weekend when the bass trailer was available, me and maybe one other CTA guy would take the trailer up and we'd set it up so they had a stage and they'd have live music and I don't know who does the food at Bobby Lane's, but at Chris Lane's, Tony Sachery does the food,
Ooh.
and believe me, it's
Hot.
awesome.
It's hot.
I
bet that
mean,
is
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. And I don't know, were you at the Nation Championship, Danny, where Tony Sachery did the food at the weigh-in?
No, I
did
wish
that.
I would have been.
He did that like 2 years at Monroe.
Oh,
He
man.
came up and did the food like he did it, like didn't charge us anything. Like came up and did food for everybody at the weigh-in. It was awesome.
We talk about these guys doing this stuff, giving back in different ways, trying to be creative about it. It's not expected out of them to do any of that. They're doing it out of the greatness of their heart. Maybe, like Bobby said, Chris does it on Gunnersville. I thought it'd be a great idea to do it in Florida. In the same sentence, too, those guys know to a certain extent that, there's kind of a standard for those guys to live by a little bit too, if you really think about it. I mean, some of them obviously probably may never make it to that standard, but the Lane brothers of the world, KVD has his foundation, Ike has his, and we've talked to a bunch of guys that do a lot of extra things, just not just catching fish, but promoting youth activities and things like that. Good dudes. Lots of good dudes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Kevin Miller, if you're still watching, I I was trying to steer us over there to where we could talk about that a little bit. If you guys didn't see Kevin's comment that he fished against Bobby in the 2006 BNC at Harris Chain.
How'd you fare? Is my question.
We'll see if he answers.
I wonder how Bobby fared.
I think that guy from I want to say if he didn't win it, he finished really high. The guy from South Africa in that event.
So that was kind of one of my questions, John. You're kind of a bass historian too. I looked some stats up on Bobby, and in 2009 he won the Elite Series on Kentucky Lake in June with 97.9 pounds, and second place was Kevin Van Dam. KVD had like 92 or something. He beat the field by 5 pounds. Was that his first season on the Elites? Was 09?
Maybe.
I couldn't remember what I saw. He was fishing in the opens last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
I don't think he's fishing them this year. I don't think he's fishing Bassmaster this year. I saw somebody ask that question, but I don't think he's fishing this year.
I don't either.
He really doesn't need to. I mean, he's now in a league that's going to be next year 50 anglers. So you're going to be fishing. You got to beat 49 guys for 150 grand. I mean,
you also have to requalify, and I wonder if, since he's the Red Crest champion, since he's won a tour event, if they have some sort of a exemption thing like Bassmaster has as far
I'm
as
sure that plays into the requalifications. They're not. I'm sure it's not just angler of the year
yeah.
points, but I mean, I think he's okay in that area anyway.
Well, like I said, when he was at Bass, he cashed 106 times, I think is what I jotted down. Yeah, 106 times at Bass when he was playing over there.
I mean, did you look up his MLF stats?
Some of them. I was just kind of in awe about some of his Bassmaster stats, to be honest with you. I mean, he was a 12-time Classic qualifier.
Yeah.
That in itself, if he didn't start fishing the elites until 09, which I can't remember, I'm sorry, but if he didn't start fishing the elites till 09, you know, he had a pretty rough crowd for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in 09, Van Dam, like I said, was second place. Reese was like fifth in that tournament.
That was a ledge fishing tournament.
Yeah. I remember
That's the
looking
one where KVD and Ike got into it over a spot.
I don't
No.
think that was 09. I think that was later on
Maybe so, yeah.
down the road. But yeah, some of his baits that he said he used in that event was a 10-inch worm, a DD22, and something else. But in 18, he won an open at Kissimmee with 60 pounds. And Brandon Lester finished second place with 47. So he hammered out that tournament wire to wire. It seems like when Bobby gets on a bite, you might as well just watch out. His major league
He was
fishing
Elite Series was 2008 was when he started the elites on Bassmaster, what it said.
a year prior.
Yep.
His MLF stats show him to make. He's almost trumped $3 million in earnings. I don't know if that money's carried on from Bass or not, but
He was at 1.4 on Bass.
Yeah.
Has.
I think they include bass.
Major League Fishing needs to work on their stats a little bit.
Yeah, they include bass to make it look better because they haven't been around that long.
I mean, it looks great to me. Almost $3 million
Yeah.
in earnings just fishing for greens and browns.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are kind of funny colored that I don't know, but they
Yeah.
call them spots.
But I mean, the career, like if you're on the MLF, his career wins 7. I don't think he's won that many times at MLF. You know, he's won the Red Crest. He's won, you know, so that includes Bassmaster Opens, Elites.
Yeah.
You know.
He's had a hell of a career.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's fit in over there at the in the Major League Fishing format really rather well. When he won the Red Crest on Grand Lake, you talk about squeezing your butt cheeks suspenseful. I mean, wowee. You know,
I mean, I didn't want to bring that up, but I'm not sure that was legal fish myself, but and he reweighed it 3 times. You're supposed to be allowed to reweigh it twice.
0.1.
So moving along to literally anything else.
We lost by a lot more than that margin, John, over the weekend.
So we kind of had a wind-blown episode tonight. We started out kind of drifting in the wind, talking about John's local stuff, and then Bobby showed up, and we listened to him, and
Yeah.
now we're just shifting onto the tailgate again, and we can we'll probably shout out to a few of our other local anglers before we get to the Moody and Kister hour. We had some guys, Brock Bila in the Toyota series. Jeez, drawing a blank. Lake of the Ozarks had a decent showing. Cole Breeden ended up winning that event. I think he's another Drury kid.
Kyle Kitts, Doug Johnson, a couple of guys from Grove, local Grand Lake area. Shout out to those guys. They did well in that tournament. It was a tough tournament.
We had Clayton. Dang it. Clayton Hale. He works at he used to work at MLF, but now he's retired and he works at Honey Creek Outdoors. He goes with Steven Weitzel as his co-angler to those events, and he finished 18th with 1 4-pound fish on the co-angler side.
That's still a hell of a feat because, I mean, from what I was told over the weekend, just catching a fish at Lake of the Ozarks was a challenge. So,
yeah.
I got to talk to a gal that was a co-angler with Rick Clun the first day of the event. And, we asked her how it went for her. And she said it was great, had a great time. She just kind of wished that maybe both of them could have caught something. It would have maybe made the day go by a little bit better. But it was interesting to see Rick struggle and, work to try to figure out what was going on and what he was doing wrong. So listening to her kind of lay out how their day was pretty interesting.
Bobby Lane finished 20th last year in the AOY. So I'm going to look at 23 because they'll take an average of, I don't know how many years, but
We can have Watson on. He could tell us.
yeah, probably.
You guys got plenty of boat docks to fish down there at Grand. Sorry, I couldn't pass it up.
Well, no, you just kind of lofted that up there.
Yep, that was an alley-oop.
You guys. Yeah, we got tons.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I think I could flip my deck right now. I got that much water in my backyard.
Oh my. I used to throw a frog in my street when it would flood till they fixed the drainage system. There's no fish ever, but
Did it ever
Give it a
slow
shot.
down the gutter and eat that frog up?
nope, nothing. Never. Pretty unfortunate.
well, Kyle, while John is digging up whatever he's digging, tell us how Future Bass was this past Sunday.
Dude, it was just trying. I mean, just a trying day. And practice was tough for both of us. It's like kind of like John described a little bit. Just I think we're a couple weeks from having some coming out party on some of these lakes. In general, just the water's just cold, and then the fish just haven't really moved up. And we're not known to be scopers. We're more of we're hopers. But I think thank the good Lord for Mark Moody is all I can tell you, because I just run the dip net. So when he starts saying get the net, I get the net. I mean, I caught one keeper, had another non-keeper fish. He caught our limit, plus I think he caught another. I think he had like 8 keepers for the day or something. And we say that's tough. We pulled up to one spot at noon and caught 3 keepers. Boom, boom, boom. Luckily for us, one of them was a 4-pounder, one was a 3. But we were doing it old school. We were throwing jerk baits. So, I had one Alabama rig fish. Like I said, it was just a 14.5 incher. It wasn't nothing special. And we just kind of put our heads down and stayed in one area and grounded out. And we fished some warmer water. And I just hope for consistent weather the next couple of weeks and not this crazy up and down thing. I know tomorrow is going to get cold, but hopefully the weather kind of climbs out of it and stays consistent and gets sunny, because the fish want sunshine this time of year, and you can tell it. The fish we caught were really pretty colored. It didn't look like they had just moved up or anything. They had some pretty color to them, and I just give him all the credit in the world for pulling us through a tough tournament, because it's nice to get the year started off on a decent note. Come home with a decent little check, and on to next. Anglers in action in a couple weeks, and I think it'll be a whole different ball game. We're still seeing almost 23-pound bag weighed in. So there's that. But, second place was 16 and some change. And we finished 8th place with 14 even. And we had 1.5 pounds in our 5-fish limit. So, it is what it is. You're always, and if you're in the top 10, I feel like you're always kind of one bite away from doing a lot better. And we were one bite away from doing a lot better. It is what it is. We had a good time.
How'd you catch them?
Stopped at Tomcat Corner and got smoked bolognas that morning. And we told ourselves we weren't allowed to eat them until we caught a limit. The fishing was so tough that we never did have a chance to eat them on the water. And I sent that picture to you guys, actually waiting on the weigh-in to conclude. So,
how'd you catch them?
Just old school, just throwing a jerk bait, channel bends, and jerk pause.
Well, see, maybe right there, maybe, Kiki, that was where you could have tweaked it just a squidge. Because if you had that bologna sandwich in your hand, you could have jerk, pause, bite a sandwich. And it might have taken that, that extra 3 or 4 seconds for him to come up and munch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See? I sent a message to you guys with that picture, said, "Oh, how I have missed you so much." It's just a simple little sandwich, but it feels good to finally see some nicer weather on the horizon.
Yeah, like 80 degrees next Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Feels good. And I'm happy to be talking about March. This seasonal stuff that we deal with, unfortunately, it sucks. So,
did Bobby Lane not fish 23? He is not on the 2023 Angler of the Year list. Was he out for a season?
I don't know.
Injured or something?
That would be the only thing I could think
maybe
of.
that was the hiatus.
Surgery or something.
He might have went on the hiatus and fished the opens for a year.
But how do you get back in then? I don't think you can just leave and come back.
He just said, "Boyd, I'm the red cat."
I think he's. I don't know what's going on with 23, but I think he's okay as far as re-qualifying. 24, what I say, he was 18th,
20th or something like that.
22. he was 50th. 21, he was like 8th in Angler of the Year. So I think, he'll be in that top 50 unless this 23 hurts him. But I don't. He must have had I don't know. For some reason, I want to say he was on a medical or something one of those years, but I could be wrong. But he should be okay on the. I mean, if you're in the MLF and you make the cut this next year, to where you're one of the top 50, and you're fishing for 150 grand at each one of the BPTs, their entry fees are higher. I think their entry fees are like 7 or 8 grand, but I think you're competing against less anglers, and your first place prizes 50 grand more than the elite.
And you've got twice the chance with 50 guys to be able to get there versus 100 guys in the elites.
Yeah, and they have those specialty events, the heavy hitters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a $300,000 event, and you don't have to win. You just got to catch a big fish.
Mm-hmm.
I think MLF is doing some good things, some things that will help solidify them a little more. As long as they don't start changing stuff like they did last year.
Yeah, that heavy hitters event's cool too, because they always go to a place that's got big ones in it, and that's on like in recent history. They're going places like that.
Yeah.
Dead air. There was 10 seconds of 10 seconds of dead air.
I was reading the comments. I was trying to see if Moody would tell me the truth where they caught their fish and what they caught them on, because I'm not sure. I believe Mr. Kister up there in the top corner.
Well, he's fishing nickels this coming weekend, so he's probably gonna be a little tight-lipped. One thing about Mark, though, he ain't afraid.
Just answer me. Did you catch him where you said you were going to catch him, Mark? That's all I need to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Mark, make it happen, Moody. Mark, make it happen, Moody is what I called him.
Stogie.
He
says he smoked a lot. Did he smoke a lot?
Yeah. But, I've been dealing with like this head stuff, untreated throat issue, yada, yada, yada. I kind of feel like maybe it opened me up a little bit. I could breathe a little bit easier.
You know what?
Bother me.
The people at church, some friends of ours at church, just got back from Mexico, and they sent me a bag of amoxicillin.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's what helped me.
All right.
Maybe Kiki needs some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I had strep throat and I didn't treat it because I'm stubborn and stupid.
Well, I got some amoxicillin for you. So you want to come by and get it? Could have got some the other day if you'd stopped and said hi, but you didn't.
Mm.
I mean, right down by the old Tomcat corner.
Oh,
just Moody said he'd stop by there on Friday. So
will that count as a high from? I guess that counts as a.
We didn't want to wear a
stop.
Dude, I'm eastbound and down when I get done with the tournament.
Yeah, it's so far.
We're way off the highway. Way off the highway. It's a long ways out of the way.
I'm glad a friend of mine that lives down there doesn't watch this podcast, because he'd be on the comments just tearing me alive. Because like all year last year, I think I stopped by one time to see him on my way home. You're right. I need to do that a little bit more. I need to try a little bit harder.
One of these days, you're going to be as old as me and Danny, and you're going to realize that stuff matters.
Yes.
That you need to, and unfortunately, I'm just now, the last couple years realizing that. So
we were actually.
I'm trying to mentor the two guys on the top line, on the top row there, into not waiting till you're 58, 57 to keep in touch with your friends.
Me and Mark actually talked about that as we were pulling into Red 11 Sunday morning. Me and him both have a really good mutual friend that lives in Hickory Meadows, and we haven't had the chance to see him in a bit. He's starting to get a little bit older.
Brewer?
Yeah. And
I haven't seen Brewer either. I live here.
We're gonna make an effort to go by and shake his house a little bit, see what's up with him one of these days. So
the real question from the weekend is, did you go knock on the door of that cave, see if anybody was home?
That's how telling that is a full reveal right there as to how the fishing was for me. I had my phone out and I was taking pictures.
You didn't make Moody drop you off and go ring the doorbell?
If you really paid attention to that picture, there's like a mudslide like in front of it. Like the rocks are kind of spread apart, and there's like this worn out spot, but it's like 4 foot wide. Guys, this hole in the side of this bluff is 8 feet wide and at least 8 feet tall.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Bigfoot.
You could drive a S10 pickup in this hole in the side of this cliff.
Why didn't you go in there?
Because I didn't want to find out what was in it. I wanted everybody to just speculate.
Rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Big black bear.
That's
That's very possible.
Very possible.
Maybe a mountain lion.
Exactly. What was amazing about that is, I posted that on my Facebook, that picture with a couple others. What was truly amazing about it was there was a few guys that knew exactly where that was.
Whether they did or not, they said they did.
I mean, there was no water, there was no landmarks anywhere near that picture, and somebody that everybody on this screen except for producer Crank knows is like, that's in this arm and right there, and I'm like, oh my god, you're right where it's at. Talk about somebody's favorite spot. It felt like I was an intruder or something. I'm like, wow.
Fishermen are funny, man.
Yes, they are.
Hey, you know what? We've made it all the way to almost Wednesday, and nobody got DQ'd from Okeechobee yet.
After the tournament.
I shouldn't have said that, should I?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well,
I mean, there's more coming. I mean, I think there will be more just like this all year long.
Probably.
I mean, they've backed themselves in a corner.
They've definitely set the example.
Yep.
And I am often critical of that guy with the initials Slick Johnson, he had what I felt was a very level-headed, calm, well thought, good-natured, well-intentioned post the other day.
Was he drunk?
Possibly, or high. I don't know.
It was a good one.
I didn't hear it. I don't think.
It was well, just and I don't want to replay his stuff.
Paraphrase.
Basically, he was talking about after Martin's deal, self-reporting, and just basically that explained the situation, and the that the rule is written in such a way that it's not that these guys are cheats. They're not deliberately doing anything. It's just,
Don't judge a book by its cover.
there you go. Thank you. That's good enough.
It's the way. That's the way I took it. I didn't mean to cut you off, DB.
No,
but
you were fine. I was trying to be too politically correct, and you just knocked it out of the park. That was the gist of his post, and I actually applauded him for that. It doesn't make up for all the other crap he said, but that was a good one. So
I agree. I mean, he was defending Matt, because I think I've even rendered my own judgment on it. I think
Well, it was about Matt. It wasn't about Scott.
it was about both.
yes.
The whole
Just
situation.
this whole
They're
situation.
two
with it.
different. They're two different things.
Okay, but the whole.
I think it was more the perception of that people calling them cheaters.
Yeah.
That's what he is. I think he was
Yeah,
getting at,
I
don't
mean,
judge
yeah, they're
that
not
by what you're seeing because they got DQ'd.
Yeah. Neither one of them are cheaters.
Exactly.
You
That
had
was the point of it.
Yeah.
you had a handful of guys in the penalty box for running no wake zones. You know, you going to consider those guys cheaters?
It's just, I mean, that's
Maybe.
a safety issue. I mean,
Depends on why they're running it.
What their intentions were.
Yeah.
Intentions. That's the whole thing.
yeah.
The intent, and can you prove the intent?
The big old
and-
gray area.
Yeah, it's I think because now there's precedence on both sides of this. I know for a fact there's precedent set for not DQing people for doing the same exact thing in other tournaments, in college, high school, nation, opens, even the elites. Now they've changed the precedent. The precedent used to be if there was no intent and it was unintentional, you could, if you got information and the intent was not to have an advantage, or it was just inadvertent getting of information, they used to say you just can't go there. You can't go to that spot. You got information, that guy gave it to you without you asking, whatever, or you didn't stop him from telling you about it. If you can't go there. I know that precedence was already set. Now they've thrown that precedent out and set a precedent. You're DQ'd.
A little bit more serious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bit more
So
serious.
they had, I guess what I'm trying to say is they had a precedent set where I don't think they would have had to DQ either one of them.
Right.
Just from what I know, and I don't know everything. I don't know everything that was happened or said. I told Danny this. I talked with Matt Herron for an hour the other day. And there's a little bit more to the story than is out there. But after talking with Matt Herron, based on what Matt Herron says, I haven't talked with, Lisa or Chris Bose. I have talked with Chris, but he didn't tell me anything. He just told me there was more to the story, which is why I'm saying there's more to the story. But from Matt's point of view, if I'm just taking Matt's, and if everything Matt is telling me is true, I would not have DQ'd him. But I don't know if everything Matt is telling me is true. And the Scott Martin thing, there is a video of him asking the question and getting information. Thus the self-report.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew it was coming anyway.
Sure.
Now, it was and he said that. He said, he asked, what's the water look like down there? Not even thinking about it. And then he stopped it. So somebody's got a video of that question. So there's no doubt he solicited it. He knew there was a video, so he turned himself in. Alleged video.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So something's got to be nailed down about the intent to and solicit. The words solicit and gather need to be defined and lived by, and not be different it's got to be the same for everybody. It's got to be the same. If the opens are running on the same rules, it's got to be the same on the opens. And that's the other thing that's got everybody up in a tizzy, because it happened on the opens at Rayburn and they didn't DQ the guy. They just fined him. And then the whole, them covering the guys in the penalty box on the halftime show or whatever. You either got to cover all the penalties or you don't. All the penalties or you don't. They need to cover. If they're going to get on Bass Live and say, this is why they're in the penalty box, this is what we ruled, they need to tell the story about the other two, about the DQs. This is what happened, and this is why. Can't just do some and not the others. Pick and choose.
Yeah.
You gotta be the same.
I think the lack of transparency with it is bothersome.
I mean, there's all, and then, and don't even get me started on the, there's now rules about what you can say as an elite angler or a wife of an elite angler on a podcast. And we all know who that's about. There's rules about that. But then Bass turns around and has 2 brand new podcasts that's from Zona and Tommy and Mercer that are supposedly no holds barred. Anything can be said. How can they say anything but other podcasts can't?
Things to think about.
Yeah.
One
I mean,
new thing.
Brandon says the elites asked for stricter penalties. They did. They asked for more. They asked for more polygraphs, and they're getting more. They asked for. I don't think they asked for stricter penalties. They asked for the rules to be enforced.
Yeah, there's a difference there.
There's a difference. And they wanted more polygraphs, and they wanted the rules to be enforced because they felt like they weren't being enforced. Well, if this goes on till the end of the year, I guarantee they will be asking for something different.
Mhm.
Probably so.
They will be asking for a definition of solicit, gather, intent. I mean, I was thinking about this today. So why can't you, like, if you're talking with a buddy, why can't the rule be something like this? It's instead of no information, it's let's get specific. No waypoints, no marking an X on a paper map, no, stuff like that. Versus if I tell Kyle, I caught him last week on a spinnerbait in the upper end of the lake. That's very vague. And I don't think that's different than giving Kyle a waypoint or marking on a map. There's difference because you
Well,
got to have you got to have something that can be policed and be enforced. And just meeting a guy at a gas station and he walks up and starts talking to you and you not cutting it off in time, that's very that's very subjective. Like what's in time? Before he
Well,
gets the next word out, or
Yeah.
before the next sentence happens, or before he even starts talking? Like, hey, whoa, stop.
I
Or,
gotta
hey,
be a complete prick. I've got a walking, talking, driving billboard, and I'm pumping gas into my boat.
Yeah.
I'm fixing to fish a tournament, and you're a fan of mine, and you're just trying to start a conversation. And
Yeah.
oh,
You're
by
just
the way, I've got to be a complete prick, and I can't talk to you guys. See ya.
yeah, what's that going to do to the
Exactly.
public relations between anglers and fans?
It's sad.
Yeah, that's not good.
I
But
think if a guy walks up and just starts talking to you and says, hey, I know you guys are fishing this week. Man, I was catching them on a chatterbait in Wolf Creek pretty good this week. Then you can say, I can't get information, but I'd love to talk to you about, whatever. I can show you how I use a spinnerbait or chatterbait or whatever, but, not just being rude and stopping them in mid sentence. And, as long as that guy doesn't give him a waypoint or get out a map and mark on it, something very specific that I can, as a tournament director, see, you got a waypoint, you got a mark map from this guy. That's soliciting information and getting information. You got some information that a guy just walked up and started talking. I don't consider that intent to gain an advantage. on the rest of the field.
I think for the longest time, Swindle came out with a post and he was talking about it. I don't know if when he was on the BPT or not, but he's like, yeah, I just missed being able to talk to people about fishing. I like to talk about fishing, and I couldn't even do that. I don't know if he was talking about BPT, Bassmaster. I'm not for sure. I know some of that has changed where they can discuss things with other competitors or whatnot. But, even that aspect of it is not being able to talk fishing with somebody and you're a professional fisherman is just outlandish to me.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer Brian's question, to me, that's where the definition of solicit and gather information has to be defined more strictly. What happens if a friend out of the blue texts me a spot on the map? Did I ask him for the spot? Did I text him earlier? Send me a spot? That's me soliciting. If he out of the clear blue texts me and I respond with, I can't get information, and I delete it immediately, then I would, as a tournament director, not now because the precedent's been set, but I'm saying that needs to be changed. I think.
Yeah, because that person made every effort at that point to get rid of the information and just
I can
set
see
it off
I
right
can
there
see
at that point.
I can see your phone, Brian. You can hand me your phone and I can scroll up and I can see that you didn't request him to send you a map.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, and I saw the response where you said, I can't get information. I'm going to delete this map. Don't send me any more. I think you've done your part.
You did the right thing.
You did the spirit of the rule, what that rule is supposed to be about.
Agreed. So, NPFL starts shortly. What, Thursday? Does it start
So.
Does it start tomorrow?
I think it
I
starts
think
Thursday.
I think they have a day off, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they have Wednesday off. So we haven't seen NPFL yet this year. Going to be interesting with some new names, new old names.
Where are they at?
Santee.
Yeah, Santee Cooper.
So they're going to be having the same issues that the Murray guys are having.
Yeah. And opens are, I'm sure Brandon's fishing. I'm sure. They're at Kentucky, right?
Yep.
I think he said something they were considering weather on Friday is what he said earlier in the comments. Yeah.
I talked to Hank yesterday and he said he was hoping that they'd get all 3 days in, but who knows?
Nice little shout out to Clutch Swim Baits on Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon catching a nice one.
On the boss.
On the boss. Man, I want to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for bed.
Are you going to fish the club?
It's going to be a bit. Got to get some things in line first.
When's the club tournament?
30th.
30th
Mm-hmm.
at Big Hill.
Bone Creek.
Oh,
Never been.
never been to Bone Creek?
Nope.
Really? I gotta get some batteries or something, or I'm not going anywhere. I didn't think those batteries were that old, but they might be. They might be.
Do we have a guest for next week?
We do. Maybe we'll get lucky and he'll win the NPFL.
Well, that'd be cool.
That'd be all right.
One of the original, we had one of the other original, Hunter Bogman,
Bogman.
and we have another original NPFL guy, Luis Fernandez.
Cool.
I'm not real familiar with Luis, but I know I think he's from California or Arizona, somewhere out there. And he'll be on. He's an NPFL pro. And to answer Brandon's question, he wants to know if he can come on when he wins the Open. Yes, absolutely.
Well,
Definitely.
sure.
Absolutely.
So just go win it, and
Yeah.
you're in, dude.
Yep.
It's that easy.
Good luck, Brandon. I hope you catch him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Can't give you any information, but we wish you luck. Hope you get a fish all three. That's what I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw earlier somebody posted up here that Jeff Luger was watching. Yep.
Matt Gnoth did.
If he is, Jeff Luger, what's up? He's a nation guy. Fish some opens, fish the opens. I don't know if he's fishing Kentucky Lake or not, but him and his son Travis both fish in Virginia. It's where I met him through the nation. And very good angler. Always did well on the Virginia team. Made the classic through the nation. And now he's in Texas doing well. So he's just a good, versatile fisherman.
Very cool. Brian, are you still here? You got a grandbaby yet?
Might be one of those long nights.
Might be.
Brandon, competition hasn't even started yet. You get the same chances everybody else has. And that's the mindset you need to have.
That's right.
Damn it. Oh, wait. We've got to back up to a comment. This is important. This was back when John was trying to mentor you younger fellows about keeping in touch with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Mama producer,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Crank's mother, says, and keep in touch with your mamas.
I definitely do. I talked to her today.
Me too. I invited my mom down for Easter, and she's going to come.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
Now,
So, yes, don't forget
Kyle
your
and I
mama.
can't do that, but we're happy for you two.
Yep. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Well,
Oh.
Kyle, you can come to Easter service with me and my mama, Kyle, if you want.
We usually stay close to the house that weekend, but I appreciate the offer.
He's got to hide Easter eggs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So our church does Easter at the PAC, which is the Performing Arts Center at the Grove High School, and we do 10,000 eggs
Holy
out, out,
cow!
out, out on the practice football field.
Oh my!
That's got to be chaos.
So you don't even have to hide them, Kyle. You can just bring them down here.
Just grab you a 55-gallon barrel and go dump it out.
There you go.
Good night. That's a lot of
Last year it was like, I didn't see it because I was in tearing down the music stuff, but I guess they gather around the perimeter of this practice field, and the youth pastor gets out there and tells them when to go, and so he's like, "Don't go until I," and they went.
eggs. They heard go. They didn't hear the other words around that.
Yep, like herding
Yep.
cats.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mio mio.
All righty, fellas.
Guys, thanks for watching our windblown, crazy little show this evening. Bobby Lane was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fun. John had told us earlier that a couple weeks back that it's possible might get in touch with Big Al of NPFL and get some of the guys, before their NPFL events and get a few of them together. I imagine it being something similar to this tonight. So,
Mm-hmm.
in the Airbnb, and then they're all just sitting around, watching Bobby get interviewed.
Yeah,
They might as well jump in.
Yeah.
might as well. Yeah, we had Bobby and Chris and Justin on tonight, and Blake.
Cool stuff.
I wish Lurch would have been there. Y'all know who Lurch is?
No.
Lurch is Steven Scott, the announcer at not NPFL, MLF,
Mm.
the on-site announcer. He
Okay.
used to be at Bass. And he did the women's tour and, a couple of the opens back when we were experimenting with doing MCs for the opens, and good. He's a friend of mine, and we, my favorite story with Lurch is when Harry Carey passed away, the Cubs announcer. The next season, they did a tryout to sing the seventh inning stretch like Harry always did. So they were going to have a different fan, sing the seventh inning stretch every game. And I was in Florida at the time, and I signed up. Well, you had to write an essay of why, you wanted to sing the seventh inning stretch, and why you were a Cubs fan and all that good stuff. Well, I wrote an essay. Even to get invited to the audition, you had to write an essay first. So I wrote an essay and I got invited. Well, Steven lives in Chicago. So I texted him and said, "You're going to be home this day, because I'm going to fly in I need somebody to pick me up at the airport, and I'm gonna do this audition, and I'm gonna fly home." And he's like, "Yeah, we'll do that." And he's a Cubs fan too, and so I fly to Chicago, and if you know, and Lurch is one of these guys that can talk to anybody, like be the life of the party, be the, just everybody is drawn to him, right? So he picks me up at the airport. We go to Wrigley Field. We check in, and there was like 800 people there auditioning.
Oh man.
And so they had us all in different sections of the ballpark. Like some of the auditions were, you know, over here, up in the offices, and back over here, over here, over here, over here. Well, so they got our group. They got us all in the stands, and they divided us up into groups. And they got our group, and we're sitting in the concourse, just like out in the open in the concourse. And you guys sit here. We'll come get you one at a time. So Lurch and I are just chatting. They finally come get me, and I'm like, "Can my buddy come too?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come on." So we walk down this dark hallway chasm into the depths of Wrigley Field, and we go through this door and through this other door, and we end up in this little bitty room, and it's the umpire dressing room is where I'm doing my audition. So there's like 3 people sitting there, and Lurch immediately starts talking to him, like buttering him up, like talking. That's just him. Like I'm shy, I'm nervous, and he's like talking to him, buttering him up, and he's like, "This is my buddy John. He's from Florida," and they're like, what brings you to town?" And I'm like, "The audition." They're like, "Seriously?" They're like, "Seriously?" I said, "Yeah, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, most people, come up for the weekend and they're doing the audition. They made a weekend of it." And I'm like, "No, I flew up from Orlando for the audition. And as soon as I'm done, he's taking me to the airport and I'm flying home." And they're like, "Wow, you really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here for the audition."
Dedication.
And
10 out
so
of 10.
I sing, I do my thing, I sing. And when we're done, everybody else that sang before me goes in and comes out the same door and they leave. Well, when I'm done, one guy gets up and says, "Come with me." And so we follow this guy down another hall and down, through another door and we come out in the Cubs home dugout.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm a huge Cubs fan. And I'm like, "What? This is awesome." And he proceeded to take us, we get our picture taken in the dugout, sitting on this bench. He takes us out on the field, takes us, down behind the backstop, behind the home plate. We get our picture taken. We walk around. We go in this other door and down a little hall, and then in this other door, and we're in the Cubs locker room with jerseys hanging there and all that. And I'm like, there's not another person. None of the other auditions got to do that. Like they took us through all that because of Lurch, because he's a talker, and and it was just, I've still got some of those pictures. I'll try to find them, but it was fun. So after that, they they had some people, select, whittle it down, and then they had a website where you picked from these like 5, and then you had to pick from the public picked. And my group that I was paired with, that they had to pick from, there was a old lady that was like 95 years old. And when that came up on the deal, I'm like, not a chance I'm being selected in this one.
Nope. A 95-year
Not a
Cub
ch-
fan.
Not a chance I'm being selected. And I didn't, but it was fun. It was a fun experience.
That's cool.
That is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, that's Lurch. He also does if you ever listen to motocross, monster motocross races, he's the announcer for those too.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. Good
Wow.
dude.
I
How about that story?
That was a good story.
Good one.
I was gonna.
That's because I've transitioned. Because I've transitioned from Jayhawks to Cubs. I
Yeah.
am done with the Jayhawks this year. I have freaking no hope. If they do great, fine, but I'm not wasting any of my energy on them anymore because I'm not sure they're going to win another game. Go Cubs.
Thanks for watching, guys. It's time to go to bed. Peace.